Alex, I spent 3 hours yesterday digging a splinter out of my palm with a pair of dull tweezers, and it really makes you appreciate how far technology has come. In the old days, I'd be worried about lockjaw. Nowadays, I'm looking at a 3D printer that can basically paint with plastic.
Is this your way of telling me you're finally retiring the handplane and joining the 21st century? Because the last time you tried to use a smartphone, you accidentally ordered 48 pounds of industrial-grade glitter.
That was a UI error, and you know it. But seriously, have you seen what Bamboo Lab is doing with this Make My Lithophane tool? Back in the day, a lithophane was just a piece of white plastic that looked like a blurry ghost until you held a candle behind it. Now, their AMS, that's the multi-material system, is layering colors like a Renaissance painter.
Wait, I've seen those. They look like photographs, right? But how does a printer know which shade of sunset orange goes where without it turning into a melted pile of Legos?
That's the magic in the gears. You upload a photo, and the software basically negotiates with the filaments. It calculates the translucency. It's not just slapping color on top. It's layering them so that when light hits the back, the colors bleed through to create the right hue. It's like stained glass, but for people who don't want to deal with lead solder and glass cutters.
So, if I want to get into this, do I need to sell a kidney for one of those professional X1 machines? Or is there a version for those of us who still have a budget?
The A1 series is the way to go. If you're just dipping your toes in the pond, it's the entry-level king. But if you're like me and you enjoy making things that can actually survive a summer in a hot garage, you step up to the P1 or X1. They've got the enclosures and the heat tolerance to handle the tougher stuff. It's the difference between a bicycle and a tractor. Both get you there, but one handles the mud a lot better.
Speaking of handling the mud, let's talk about the people who actually keep the lights on while we're playing with plastic toys. I saw the news about the NECA safety program graduates.
Man, big hats off to folks like Chandler and the 2026 class. Being an electrician used to just mean you knew which wire bit you and which one didn't. But today, it's a whole different ballgame. These guys are coming out as risk management specialists.
I think people underestimate the brain work in the trades. Everyone thinks it's just pulling cable through holes, but you're talking about OSHA 30 certifications and regulatory compliance. It sounds intense.
It's life and death, Alex. I remember early in my career, I saw a guy try to test a circuit by tapping it with a screwdriver because he couldn't find his meter. He's fine, but he doesn't have eyebrows to this day. That's why these certifications matter. If you're an apprentice listening to this, don't wait for your boss to hand you a pamphlet. Go get your OSHA 30 now. It's the difference between being the person who pulls the wire and the person who runs the whole job site.
It's about being a professional, not just a laborer. I like that. But let's shift gears to the maker mogul side of things, because as much as we love the craft, we also love not being broke.
The age-old struggle. You spend 40 hours making a beautiful walnut salad bowl, and then someone at a craft fair asks if you'll take $20 for it, because it's just wood. It makes my teeth ache.
Which is why we need to talk about the golden pricing formula. Because I've seen your mental math before, Tiger, and it usually involves you forgetting that your time actually has value.
Look, I used to be the world champion of working for negative $3 an hour, but the data for 2026 is clear. The niche maker is where the money is, specifically DIY craft kits. Instead of selling one finished embroidery piece, you sell the kit. It scales. You aren't tied to the bench for every single sale.
Okay, but give me the real math, no Tiger logic. Give me the formula.
It's simpler than a butt joint. Price equals total cost divided by. If your materials and overhead cost you $50, and you want a 50% margin, which you should, unless you like living on saltine crackers, you need to be selling that for 100.
50%? People are going to hear that and think they're overcharging.
They aren't. That margin covers your electricity, your website fees, the 2 hours you spent arguing with the post office, and the fact that you need to buy a new saw blade next month. If you aren't pricing for profit, you don't have a business. You have an expensive hobby that makes you tired.
Fair enough. So, if I'm not ready to start a candle empire yet, what can I do this weekend that won't require a business license, but will make my house look like I know what I'm doing?
Well, if you've got a garage and a bit of a wild streak, an indoor climbing wall is the project of the year. It's basically just structural framing with a lot of flair. But if you want something that'll actually impress your mother-in-law, go for the hidden mount floating shelves.
I've seen those kits at the big box stores. They always seem to sag the moment you put a single book on them.
That's because people treat the wall like it's a suggestion. The secret to a shelf that stays level isn't the shelf itself, it's the professional build start. You have to anchor those mounting brackets into the center of the studs, not near the studs, not into the drywall with a prayer, into the wood.
And I assume you have a story about a shelf that didn't stay level?
I once tried to hang a heavy oak shelf using only plastic drywall anchors and hubris. I walked into the kitchen the next morning to find my entire collection of vintage coffee mugs turned into a colorful mosaic on the floor. The shelf was still hanging by one screw, looking at me with pure judgment. I learned that day, if the bracket isn't solid, the project is just a slow motion disaster.
Hubris is a terrible mounting hardware. So, what's the word on tools for this year? I heard Milwaukee is dropping some new stuff.
The 2026 pipeline is no joke. Their new cordless lighting is so bright, it'll make you think you're working in the Sahara, and their storage solutions are getting smarter. It's all about efficiency now. Less time looking for your 10 millimeter socket, more time actually making sawdust.
Which is the goal, right? To actually finish something for once?
Exactly. Whether you're chasing a paycheck in the trades, trying to scale your craft business, or just trying to get a shelf to stay on the wall, it all comes back to the same thing. Respect the process.
And the studs. Definitely respect the studs.
Especially the studs.
So, what's the one thing people should take away from today? Besides, don't buy 48 pounds of glitter?
I'd say it's this. Innovation isn't just about fancy 3D printers or new drills. It's about not settling for good enough. Whether you're learning a new safety code or calculating your margins, do it with the same precision you'd use for a dovetail joint. The details are where the pride lives.
Well said. I'm going to go try that pricing formula on my neighbor. I think I've been mowing his lawn for way too little.
Get that 50% margin, Alex. Stay curious, stay safe, and for heaven's sake, keep making.